when he wanted his servants to bring him his breakfast. The third MacBuff had thrown a dozen English prisoners into the dungeons and gone off on a fishing trip, leaving them to starve to death, and the wood on the drawbridge is stained to this day by the blood of the sixth MacBuff's relations, 2 aunts, a cousin, and a nephew, whom he simply murdered as they rode up to his house to spend Christmas. But those times were past. The last few owners of Carra had been quite ordinary, though poor, and the time came when the castle and all its lands belonged to a 12-year-old boy called Alex. Alex's full name was Alexander Robert Hamilton MacBuff, Laird of Carra, of Erenrig and Sethsay. He'd been 6 months old when his parents were drowned in a sailing accident, and since then he had lived at Carra with his great-aunt Geraldine, who had come to keep him company when he was left an orphan. Alex had brown hair, which stood on end when he wasn't careful, and blue eyes that took everything in. He was a sensible and intelligent person, and he did his best to be a good master for Carra, but it wasn't easy, for there simply wasn't enough money to do what had to be done. Alex would be sitting at breakfast, and there'd be a loud splash outside the window. It would be a piece of the west tower falling into the moat, greatly upsetting the frogs. Or he'd go up the wooden staircase to the gallery to fetch a book he'd needed for his homework, and find that the top step just wasn't there. It had been eaten by death-watch beetles. And everything got very dusty and dirty because there were only 3 servants where once there had been 30. An old butler with a bad back, a housemaid with bad feet, and a cook who heard clunking noises in her head. Alex did everything he could to save money. He bicycled each day to the comprehensive school in Erenrig, he washed out his own jeans, and he helped with the housework. But a few months after his 12th birthday, his factor came with a lot of pieces of paper covered in figures, and when he had gone, Alex climbed onto the battlements and stood for a long time, looking out to sea. Then he came down to find his aunt. "I have thought and I have thought and I have thought," said Alex, "and I have decided that I simply have to sell the castle." "I'm sure you're right, dear," replied Aunt Geraldine. She was not upset because she was not Scottish, and she wanted to go and live somewhere warm like Torquay, in a hotel with a palm court orchestra and kind waiters and a colour telly in her bedroom. So Alex wrote to the estate agents, and they came and put up a notice saying, "This castle is for sale." After this, nothing happened for a long time.